Justin, is that like some mariachi shit going on out there?
Shit, yeah, it is. I told you, that's the neighbors, man. The neighbors fucking rule. Oh, excuse me, I shall
Oh,
stop
that's
swearing.
pretty awesome. That reminds me of my neighbors in New Mexico.
They crank it, and I love it. Oh, it's so great.
He had a little
Okay.
group of people that he used to play with too. He played the accordion, and then a guy played a guitar, and
Oh, this
all
is
kinds of
just
things.
this is just their Pandora because every once in a while you'll hear their phone go off. It's great.
Even better. All right. Let's see. So let's try to recap, and I think we're all gonna have to work a little bit together on this one because it has been a while.
We ended up going to Dagger Watch in the Upper City to go do some NCIS, CSI, Sharn on some dead bodies, so we went to the morgue.
Truth.
Which totally turned out well for us.
Somehow. Because apparently there were already 4 guards out front. Well, it was the previous night someone had already tried to force entry.
Yes.
With divination to have shown that the perps have no face, or they're masked by magic. I prefer no face. We end up in the morgue, and it's the wizard is the same that was there, right? Or you somebody Juan D and Gemma met previously, right?
That's right.
And Elisar Irithil?
That is correct.
And he's tired because he's been working all about all this. Corpses are all about, it's extra creepy for everyone except for Lucan because Lucan likes dead stuff. And then we start the Q&A with the dead. Yeah, we get to the Q&A with the dead, and there were 3 of the dead were the ones attacking, so we did end up talking to 2 of them, but the first one was an attacker who was a hobbit who remembers sleeping and then remembers not being me, and then me and something else put together, which we're figuring what possession at some point, or possibly. And then we interview a victim. I didn't get that victim's race, so I don't know what it was, or even if it was a guy. I think it was a guy, right?
I vaguely recall that being yes.
Because the second one was a woman. It was a woman. Yeah. Okay. I was attacked. It was my brother, which he said he looked like himself, but he was angrier than I have ever seen him before. I agree. And then the second attacker was a woman, which said they felt wrong, they felt inhuman. I think that was in regards to talking about what she was possessed by. I felt something hollow, and then something else filled me up. No calm in the madness. And then something about maybe connected with Juan D's vision, and I know nothing about Juan D's vision right now. I can't remember that.
Spooky, spooky.
And that was basically it for that last session, I think. Unless anyone has anything else there.
I think so. Let's take a look at the session
What a
notes.
note to say. That's what I remember too. But doesn't mean it's right.
Lots of talking with dead things.
Including talking by dead things. Like me.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
Do we want to do a quick Cliff Notes version of the week beforehand as well, just like 2-second rundown, or do we not care?
You can.
Week before was pretty much that we set up Winsome in his new place.
Yeah, I set him up in the lab, and that's all that Cord was doing that one because I had missed that session.
and then Gemma Beth and I went to go try to get information from some of the college sites.
And you managed to seduce both the librarian and the barista.
Yeah, she got a hot date. I got
An equally hot date.
I was gonna say old dude something. I'm not sure where that's going, but I actually need to get his name and put it in my little annals thing, because
Excuse me?
annals, not anals.
Annuals.
You have to get his thing and put. Oh my goodness.
Manual? What?
It's a
No.
strong A, which just made it even worse.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Okay. Okay, so I'm putting his soft thing in my ad. You're welcome to all of you shipper viewers,
There
you
you
bastards.
The song in the background is really adding to the gravity of this, let me tell you.
Oh yes. Oh my goodness.
I want to say that I'm not in the Navy, but being like in real life in the Navy, I would totally accuse the Army of taking it up the butt.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
At
And
least every Army-Navy football game ever, they take it up the butt. But, you know.
and your guy was Brelish military around Sharn, which is a port.
Uh-huh.
Giggity. Okay, moving on. Today's adventure.
Yeah.
Alright, so let us first do the hot date, as it were, with the older tiefling man whose name
I think you need to add some
right now.
background music for this. You have any 70s funk?
All I got is the Mexican neighbors.
it'll have to do. Let's see. I can't remember. I genuinely can't remember the name of the guy.
I'm looking for it.
We'll get it later, don't worry.
Got it here. Give me half a second.
George.
No,
Tony the Tiefling.
I would have remembered if it were
Tony the
Tony or
Tiefling?
George.
You'd think that,
He's
wouldn't you?
great. And demonic.
Yeah, everybody go and do your icon relationships. I'm trying to figure out a better way to do it, considering the way I run the game, but I haven't settled on anything yet.
Well, I'm not complaining because I don't
Uh,
have any.
What I might do, and what I'm thinking about doing, is having you guys roll when you have a full rest up, and then they persist until the next full rest up.
That kind of makes sense, I guess.
Oh, good. I've got 6 with the Elden Reach.
Because having you guys roll every session when you're not really using them that often feels a bit like we're just going through the motions instead of actually doing anything meaningful with them.
I agree.
Yeah,
So
Then I can't but help wondering if we should propose then changing, what the gravity.
You cut out again.
yeah, try that again.
Just
Eddie.
how much they mean you're talking?
Yes. How much weight
Yeah.
they carry.
They still carry a lot of weight. Don't get me wrong. You guys can still do a hell of a lot with them.
I like his holding on to it, to be perfectly honest. I don't really mind if I use it or not. It's just good to be able to have a panic button / RP device if necessary. But we've been doing good, kind of figuring stuff out on our own right now too.
We
Yeah,
haven't
you
used
guys
the
have
other
used-
shit-free card.
Yeah, you guys have done good stuff with them, but you haven't done. I mean, and this is not a judgment on you. You haven't been using them every session. You've been using them roughly on pace with what I would expect, kind of in a between full rest ups. So that's what's. If everybody is on board with that, I will. We can go with that.
Yes.
And you can keep yours for today. And those will just persist until the next time you guys get full heal up.
And I can't say you're wrong on it. I think we're probably going to have to take a look as we as we go a little and see if we need to adjust that. But yeah, at least every 2 to 3 sessions will definitely be the way to go.
Yeah, because it's just one of those things that none of us are really using a lot. Part of that's my fault because I could be kind of forcing the issue a little bit by taking your 5s and using them against you here and there, and thus in imploring you to get the benefit out of it too. But I haven't been doing that because it's a little trickier for me to keep track of what you've got without going through each one of your sheets individually. But I've got an idea for that. I just need to get something printed out and laminated, and after that it should be simple. But yeah, for now, let's go with what you guys have got here.
So you got a 5 with Breland.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's exactly
But
right.
I think most of you got at least one, didn't you?
Got a 5 with Breland.
Yeah, so there you go. Okay,
I got a 5.
update with...
Oh, holy shit. Fuck you, Rafe.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Oh my.
Eddie kind of knocked it out of the park.
That's it though. That's all I get for the entire game.
So you better use them wisely. All right, so Agan, you're meeting with Agan. Did you guys discuss where you guys were going to meet up at?
I think
Or
I'm
what time?
in the restaurant.
I'm sorry, what?
I think I'm meeting him back at the restaurant.
Oh, back at the restaurant. Okay. I think it was like 8 or something like that.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. So it's getting near 8. What is everybody doing? Let's put it that way. What is everybody doing right now? You guys got done at the morgue probably 3-ish in the afternoon, maybe 3:30.
Do we need to montage Gemma getting ready for her date?
I don't think we need to montage that.
Oh, Disney music. Get the birds and all the magic and the dresses and such.
Well, she's a druid, so the birds
See?
is not necessarily a bad idea.
That's
Just-
terrible.
Just imagine Snow White and or Cinderella,
I
so
would
mice
never
and or
use them.
birds.
Oh, straight up, a small herd of bunnies comes at her first in the hopes of helping her get ready for her date, and
Kill
she,
them all.
like, summons vines on their ass.
Well, she needs a fur dress, right?
She shows up to her date clad in full furs, brand new.
It's the most terrifying
Yeah,
thing
Brown
of all.
furs, not even cured, just still maybe a little bloody.
Takes a while to set those things.
I imagine Cord would be going back to go check in on Winsome just because he's got a lab and labs are cool. And plus he can just basically say, hey, this kind of fulfills the agenda as well.
Okay. So what about Wraith?
I would have assumed. No, we just finished up at the. We would have just finished up at the morgue, and we had a little bit of time between our next meet.
Yeah, you guys don't have to meet anybody until tomorrow, when you meet
Tomorrow.
with your handler, Alistair.
Well, I probably wouldn't feel comfortable separating as of yet, and if we're still being watched, I wouldn't want to lead anybody back to my my lair, as it were. So maybe I'll just hang out with Cord.
Okay, so you go back to Winsome.
Yeah.
Are you
that
gonna
sounds
sneak
good.
around, or are you just gonna go in as somebody else?
We're gonna sneaky bit. I mean, we still don't need to bring any attention to ours. There's been some stuff going on. And
Certainly look for tails and things like that.
yeah.
Okay, both of you give me a couple rolls.
What are we looking at?
What do you want?
Give me wisdom.
Wisdom and diplomat? Or just straight wisdom?
Diplomat seems reasonable.
Diplomat on me as well, right? Or infiltrator.
Infiltrator is more reasonable for you.
And there's a roll.
That was indeed a roll.
See, this is what happened on Wheel of Fortune, man. RNG. The only thing that concerned me was the RNG. Oh, thank
All
you.
RNGs hate you. It is amazing how.
See,
bad
now
your
it's
luck
been
is.
it's been proven on national television.
Yeah.
The next person immediately does
A
better
20.
than you, right?
See, yes.
Nat
Nat
20.
2, Nat 20.
Ah.
Bankrupt, $1 million.
Oh. See, well, yeah, just roll after me from now on, everybody.
Deal.
We love you, Cord.
I'll roll after you all the time.
No, you stop that.
All right, let's.
How about every time we have to roll, no matter if you're involved in the roll or not, you roll a die first. Just to get the luck out of the way.
Yes, yeah, I'm just the bad luck spudge. Great.
Hey, if that suits the team, then you just gotta bend over and take it.
The
There's
RNG
this class in the
tank.
Glorantha book called the Trickster.
All right, so Wraith, you don't notice anybody following you around. Everything pretty much seems business as usual. Every time it feels like somebody's tailing you, it turns out that they're just happening to go in the same direction that you are for a little while. If anybody is tailing you, they are doing it with such immense skill that you could never possibly hope to catch them. And
We're already dead.
yeah,
Right.
you're
We're just reliving the moment.
Hey,
Yeah,
don't
you-
spoil the ending.
yeah, you're confident that if somebody, even a good enemy agent, were following you, you would have seen some sign, and you've seen nothing.
Okay.
So you guys get back to the University of Sharn and Winsome's lab. Let's see, who else hasn't? Lucan, what are you gonna do now?
What are you doing?
Sorry, muted.
Lucan fell asleep.
Nope. I am purposely avoiding the lab right now because if all went according to plan, my old friend from the Wands is going to be there helping out, but she has no idea about my condition. So I'm kind of not wanting to make that happen right away. Where was the other dude? Sorry, Juan D going.
I'm going. Well, let's
We
see
lost you.
where things are.
Yeah, you broke up there for a sec.
I'm looking at where things are.
Oh, okay.
Where are we headed from? Like, where's our starting point?
You guys were in, let's see,
Dagger Watch.
Dagger Watch it was?
Dagger
Yeah.
Watch, yes.
Down at the bottom corner of the map.
There's a circle around it.
Okay. So we're on the GM token.
Yes.
You know, that's surprisingly close to Cord's apartment, and that's a little unnerving that a morgue is so close to that.
It's not a morgue, it's just the garrison.
Yeah, it's where all the armed people are. It's less of a morgue than it is kind of a holding area. Most places,
Okay.
yeah,
It's a big old police station.
yeah, they go
Oh.
through there, and before they go down to the crematorium, which is down in the lower levels.
Okay, that's better then. All right. About to say, I'm
Yeah.
about to move. We don't need John.
So does that inform your decision?
It does. I'm gonna swing over to Redstone real quick, get my dip into my shop, make sure that nothing has exploded prematurely, and also grab some scribble materials, a notebook and whatnot, and then I'm gonna head over to the University District. Well, actually, before I leave, I'm gonna close up the shop because it's pretty late in the afternoon, right?
Yeah. By the time you get there, it's probably a little after 4. The sun's still up. Probably still going to be up for another hour or so.
No, if it's 4 p.m. roughly, I'm going to give instructions to my assistant to keep it open until about 7. And once 7 hits, he can go ahead and close up shop. Then once I have my writing materials, some just general like research materials, if I have, yeah, just general stuff. I'm going to go over to the university district, back up to the. I want to go to the Sharn Academy.
Not the University of Sharn, but Morgrave University? Is that the one you mean?
I want to go to University of Sharn this time.
Okay.
So we're all just going to University of Sharn then.
So far, yeah.
All right, then I guess.
Jemaveth's going to the Morgrave because that's where he was at. But
unless Gemma wants a bodyguard to be standing by somewhere, which I doubt she does, then I'm gonna reluctantly follow along with the group to the University of Sharn.
I would assume that because he has been kind of intrinsically involved in my life in the past, I have some knowledge of when and where the spy was active, at least as far as my dealings have been concerned. I'm going to be cross-referencing that information with the historical activities of oh crap, what's the name of the Dragon Mark house that has been coming up a lot recently?
Kenneth?
Yeah.
Kenneth or Madania have been coming up the most.
Yeah, House Kenneth is the one that is currently fractured, right?
Yes. It's basically fractured into 3, and the quote-unquote head of one of those parts is here in Sharn.
So I'm going to cross-reference my understandings of him and where the spy was and what he was doing, things that he was involved with, and what Kenneth was doing at the time. See if I can find any correlations, any patterns. Also see if I can't find some kind of dealings with and the Mornland. See if their fluctuations of power and resources have any meter with the borders of the Mornlands and what was going on there. I assume that
run that by me one more time, because I'm not sure what you're looking for here.
Okay, I'm looking for two separate things. I'm looking for House Kenneth and the activities of the spy, and seeing if there are any places where they intersect, focusing on what the spy was doing at the time and what House Kenneth was doing at the time.
Your spy, then. Okay. That helps clear it up. Okay, continue.
I am also looking at House Kenneth, what they were doing at any given time in the past, let's say 5 years. Let's make it 5 years. And what the Mornlands have been doing, or specifically around the borders of the Mornlands, because there's more activity there than actually in the Mornlands.
We can narrow that down a little bit for you, because the Mornlands aren't actually that old. The Day of Mourning is only a few years old. Let me double check. Right now we are in the year 998, and the Day of Mourning was in 994.
Okay, so I'm going to look from the Day of Mourning to present and see if House Kenneth has any particular growing or shrinking or fracturing, find out when that fracturing was, and see if it coincides with something going on with the orders around the Mournlands. I'm expecting that this is just going to be a straight-up study session for me.
It's probably going to be more than just one night of study for this, because you know that the House Cannith was originally based in Sire, and they had a lot of their facilities in the area where the Mournland now stands. So examining their activities in regards to the Mournland is going to come up with a lot of hits, so to speak. And you're going to have to do a lot to separate the wheat from the chaff, and to find anything, if there is anything, specifically regarding what you're looking for.
Let's focus on that then, and I'll leave the spy for a later time, because I feel like the Mournland and House Cannith.
Okay. It's still probably going to be a search that will not take you just a single night.
Sure, but I at least want to get a start on that information gathering.
Okay. We'll worry about that shortly. And let's see, what is everybody who's going to the lab going to do?
I want to find out if he's gotten further with tinkering with the device. I think we're still at that point.
My curiosity is what he's found with the intact device.
Yeah.
Which Cord hasn't seen yet, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so this is all fun and exciting.
And I'm a hang out by the door and try not to be noticed.
Lucan, why don't you go with D and help him with his research?
Because I would be even less help there.
Oh, okay.
But you might be less conspicuous there.
I was going to say.
Maybe.
We can give him a big floppy hat. It'll be okay.
I think in his character he has a big floppy hat.
I just might. I don't remember.
Do you? Let me look at your character sheet. Yeah, you've got kind of a tricorn thing going on.
It depends on which picture it's going.
The one for your token is the one that immediately comes to my mind, anyway. And that one you
that is true.
You could have like a big floppy Three Musketeers hat.
Yeah, please.
That would also kind of fit your character.
I'll have a fabulous hat. Yes, that's.
Okay.
I generally try and obtain a fabulous hat with every one of my characters, so that works.
Be sure to write that down on your character sheet. Fabulous hat. Okay. And everybody can picture exactly themselves how fabulous it is. So,
Bartholomew Cubbins book.
I've never heard of him.
The 100 Hats of Bartholomew Cubbins.
Never heard of it.
No.
Dr. Seuss book. Look it up. It's good stuff.
Is it really? Oh well.
Heard of it. I've never read it though.
I need Vermintire, but I don't have it. It has to wait. Let's see. All right, so you two head into the lab. You can see that there's a few people around. Everybody's kind of talking in hushed tones. It all has a feeling of being very grim. And as an experienced agent, you kind of get the sense that being involved in something of this magnitude has kind of dampened the spirits of everybody involved. Maybe that's not the right term, but everybody's feeling the weight of the potential consequences of working on this. Winsome seems a little less so than most, and especially given what Wraith knows about him, you've got the feeling that this is something he's experienced before. He has an idea of what working in this kind of situation is like. But there's a couple of other people who, as you look closer, you see the stylized golden wand on their lapel. and recognize them as one of the king's wands. They don't have the same kind of reserve that they do. Just looking at them, you can tell that they're anxious about what they're doing. As you come in, all the three of them look up. You can see that the wands, they either reach for a weapon or they reach for something that you can't necessarily see. You imagine it probably as a magical item or a wand of some sort. And as you come in, the two wands head over to you and put their hand up and say, "And you would be who?"
I look at Wraith.
I would inform them. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think here. What would be the better handle to use? Because lanterns don't necessarily exist, so you can't be all like, "I'm a lantern, bitch."
As you're kind of briefly searching for something to say, Winsome calls over, "It's all right, gentlemen. They've been cleared for this." And the two wands look back at him and then look back at you.
Well, then I'll give a thank you nod to Winsome, and we'll make our way over.
It's like,
And I just
all right.
follow suit, yeah.
We've been warned to expect somebody who's some people who have been working on this situation. Regardless, I would like to get your names just for verification purposes.
No
Iron
problem.
Morn, I'm Shield, King Shield.
And you, sir?
Cord Faldrin. You
Very
may know
well.
my father.
I believe I'm familiar with the name, sir.
Thank you.
In any case, what brings you here?
We somebody had gotten Winsome a device that I am very interested in taking a look at and seeing if we've gotten any headway into its usage.
Aside from looking at this material, I'm of the same mind. I'm looking into. I would like to know if there's been any headway made since the device has been given to our esteemed Winsome here.
It's just a sec. Sorry about that. All right. Winston looks over at you and says, "It's unfortunately, it's far too early to make any kind of definitive judgment about what's going on. It's a device of this complexity. So many of the little details are critical to the understanding, and yet we've barely begun to catalog what we know about this thing. Having an intact specimen, I'm sure, will be beneficial in the long run, but right now we are still in the very early stages of our investigation. Using our preliminary hypothesis, we may be able to make faster progress, but the possibility exists that that preliminary hypothesis is wrong or in some way flawed. Cord, your name was.
Yes.
I understand that you have a familiarity with artifice and technology that my friend Wraith here does not. Perhaps you would be interested in assisting us in this endeavor?
Oh, I would be more than interested in assisting in this. I want to take a look at this device.
I understand that your top priority will be to investigate the who's and the whys, but so long as you're here, perhaps you can provide another opinion and perhaps find something that we have overlooked.
I certainly hope so, because any insight into this at this point would be, quite the aid.
It's It's imperative that we get this done as quickly as possible, but at the same time, it's also imperative that we do this as safely as possible. The idea of something like this potentially going off in the middle of the high towers is a terrifying thought. It's so many people would be lost. So many people of power, influence, and wealth would be killed.
Yes.
At that chaos in Sharn would be unavoidable, which very well may be the idea, but in any case, we will be glad to have your assistance in this matter. It's right now we've kept the intact device. It is in a special holding container. It should be safe from any potential outside influence. It also should be safe from any attempts to determine its location through magic. To some extent, this building will do the same for the other devices we are examining, but due to the necessity of the work we're doing, we cannot completely shield it in the same way that we would the other device. So the possibility exists that if somebody knows we have them and are looking for them, they might end up coming here, which is why I'm glad that you are here, Wraith, as well as you two gentlemen. And he gestures over to the King's Wands. If you gentlemen could introduce yourselves, since you will probably be working together quite closely. And the one of them, who's like an older elf, old enough to start showing the signs of age. So he looks like he's in maybe his late 40s, which is relatively old for an elf. He nods and says that my name is Tahal. I work with the King's Wands, as I'm sure you have no doubt guessed at this point. The other one is a rather short human male, and he says, "My name is Veskar."
It's a pleasure to meet you both, Veskar and Tahal.
I will
Pleasure,
post the
gentlemen.
names. Give me a sec.
I just wanted to guess.
He's not entirely wrong.
He's tall.
And there we go.
Veskar.
And Tahal looks over and says, "We've been informed that you are to be considered our superiors in this. However, I have to tell you that we will take our duties extremely seriously, and if it turns out that we feel that you are a detriment to this, we will have to remove you from this location."
Don't worry about us being a detriment. Keep to your own mind and just make sure that we all stay safe while we're doing this research.
I understand, and so long as that continues to be the case, I'm sure we will have no problems. I've been...
I don't necessarily know what these guys' business is, but that kind of elicits a cold, piercing pair of eyes from me. Kind of like a
He looks
Maybe
over
you-
and he meets your stare entirely unperturbed, and he says, "I apologize if that offends you, sir, but nevertheless, that is the case."
I understand, but don't you have to think for a second that it's going to be us that are going to have any issues here?
Given how much we don't know about this situation, we have to treat this with the utmost caution. I hope you understand.
Oh, that's witches some bitches. All right. Well, I am going to put that out of my brain because I want to take a look at this device. I want to see what I can see and see what I can figure out with it.
Okay.
I'll stand
so,
close enough to overhear shop talk, but I'm certainly not as interested as Cord is.
So what are you going to do besides just kind of eavesdropping?
Honestly, I would I always am, and especially I guess especially
You faded out.
in situations such as this, I would probably be keeping an eye on my surroundings. I'm not so technical that I would imagine I'd be wholly engrossed with what's going on, not like Cord, but I wouldn't mind picking up certain things. So it's kind of like paying attention to what's going on, but at the same time, I'm scoping and looking for weird behavior and trouble. That's
Okay.
just my paranoia.
So Cord, he kind of has you act like an assistant. He's directing what you're doing. So it's stuff like taking samples from the device. You're only working with the broken devices right now, but
Yeah.
you're taking samples from the devices, like scraping off the insides, doing metallurgical analysis. You're setting up a an Arcanist circle so that you can more examine the seemingly burned out dragon shard that was powering it in more depth, and just a lot of it's not it's important things to do, but none of it is terribly interesting right now. It's all just building up towards the eventual reveal of whatever information you can glean out of it. But right now,
He's just
it's
kind of
still
slow rolling it right now.
yeah. He's definitely taking a very cautious approach to this, a very methodical approach to this, and you recognize that as being something that is not always easy for a lot of arcanists or artificers to do, because they just want to get straight to the heart of things. But it shows how much experience that he has, that he's not taking any shortcuts, and he's doing it the right way from the very smallest step upward.
Which one is doing this? Is it Tahal or Veskar?
No, this is actually Winsome himself.
Okay, it's Winsome. Okay.
He's directing you guys. The one of the wands is actively helping you two.
Okay.
The other one is kind of not necessarily patrolling, but they're kind of wandering around. They're keeping an eye on what you guys are doing, keeping an ear out, occasionally interjecting with a question or a comment. But they're definitely acting. At least one of them is acting more like a guard than an assistant at all times. Occasionally, they're leaving the lab and heading around, checking the upper floor. At one point, you even think you hear some footsteps coming from the roof area, jutting out from the tower. So they're keeping a very close eye on things. And how late do you think you're going to stick around and help out with that? Or are you just going to stay around for most of the evening?
For most of the evening, is going to be sticking around. And one of the things is just paying attention to, like, as we're going through all of it, just kind of keeping an eye on the device, and just, I don't know, just trying to study it even beyond what the small things that we're doing. But beyond that, yeah. I'm sticking around for basically until I find something interesting. I'm kind of set mind on that at this point.
Okay. So it might be a long-term project that you're working on with this.
Yeah.
Much in the same way that Joandi's is probably not going to resolve anything extremely clearly overnight.
Yeah.
And Lucan, I'm sure that for a while, hanging out outside isn't so bad. You also get looks from the King's wands, but it seems that they recognize you. They give you a familiar nod, and just kind of go about their patrol as they wander around outside.
Sounds
They
about
don't
right.
they don't give you kind of the third degree that both Wraith and Cord got inside.
Excellent.
But so, are you going to stay there all night? Are you going to stay for a certain amount of time and then leave? What's your?
I'll hang out while the group's in there, keep some security on the outside, and keep close to what's happening so that if something does come up, I'm around.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. And finally,
And
let's
to
go.
avoid splitting the party even more.
All right, and you can split the party. It happens.
Yeah, I know.
I haven't punished you guys yet for it, so.
It's all good.
What? I don't want to be punished. What?
Well, no, I don't want to punish you guys for splitting the party if it's something that's natural to what you guys are doing. Because yeah, since it is a truism, I don't want to fall into that trap.
Yeah.
No,
anyway.
the natural to me right now would be to stick close to the group, but not want to get fully involved in what's going on here for personal reasons. So I'm good with where I am.
Okay. And finally on to Gemmabath, who is off to have a hot date.
Hot date.
Ouch.
Super hot. They're going to go have curry. It's going to be really hot.
Awesome.
So you arrive back at the restaurant at about 8 o'clock, and you see see Agan. He's cleaned up. He's cleaned up rather nicely. He's still he's not a young pup anymore, but he has this distinguished older gentleman thing pretty well down. And as you approach, he gives you a wave and beckons you over.
See, I knew that you were more than meets the eye.
Well, I try to be. I admit, I had doubts whether you would be here tonight, but I'm happy to be proven wrong.
I tend to keep my word when I can.
Not everybody does, but I'm glad to see you're different in that respect.
So, are you ready for dinner?
I'm definitely ready for dinner, especially one that I don't have to eat. I don't have to cook myself.
Well, your choice. Where shall we go?
I know an interesting place down a couple of levels. They serve this. It's kind of hard to describe. It's from Valinar, and it's definitely something different.
Excellent. I'm always up for something different.
Very well, then I will lead the way. How has your afternoon been since we last met?
It has been less exciting than I was hoping it was going to be, and you?
Yeah, it's been business as usual. It's been a good work day. Made a lot of sales, dealt with a lot of idiot customers, but you know, that's just the life it is.
Yes, I remember those days.
Oh, do you now?
Took my hand at serving for a while.
Where did you work? Did you work somewhere here in Sharn?
A couple of places here and there. A friend of mine travels a lot, so whenever he's in port getting merchandise, I would help out. Hiring. All around.
Interesting.
And yes, there was a couple of places here in Sharn while, when there's nothing else to do. Jesus.
So what kind of place did you work?
Usually bars.
Any place fun? Any interesting stories?
More than just one night's worth.
Well, we'll have to see if I get more than one night's worth then. So he leads you down a couple of levels. You're still in the heights, the upper city, but this is kind of this is pretty close to the middle city, so it's a little more blue collar. It's a little more a little less posh and a little more homey than the upper levels. It's he leads you through the Mage District and into the Kassan Bridge area. I'll move you over. I'll move you over. It's over here. It's in. It's not quite the middle wards, but it's close enough for government work. Actually, what was that? It was shift? No. There we go.
Are we at Everbridge?
No, Kassan Bridge. Right over here.
Okay. I'm just moving out of the way so I can read it.
Oh, okay. And he leads you to this not rowdy, but there's definitely, it's a very lively restaurant that has there's a balcony looking off the tower. It's very, for lack of a better word, ethnically appointed. It's not like a typical restaurant. They've gone the whole 9 yards and making this place feel kind of like Valinor. A lot of the art on the walls is what you assume would be from the Valinari elves. There's scimitars crossed on the walls, a lot of horse motifs. Even the colors look like they're designed to kind of evoke the grasslands and the arid areas of Valinor. A very tall elf welcomes you when you come in and says, well, the two of you will be dining together then?
Yes.
Very well, come this way. He leads you to an area towards the back of the restaurant. It's not out on the balcony, which seems to be fairly full, but you're close enough that you can look out the doors and the openings to look out across the towers and to the sea to the south. Might I interest you two in some wine, please?
That would be lovely. Can we look at a menu first?
Absolutely. I will bring something over right away. And which he does. He leaves, and within a couple of minutes, he's returned with a couple of parchment menus. It's pretty what you would probably consider pretty slim pickings. There are only roughly maybe seven or eight entrees, and not a lot of options within those entrees. It's you order this and you get all of this sort of thing. It feels more fine dining than what you're typically used to.
You know what, Aegon, you've been here before. Would you mind selecting some wine and food for us?
Absolutely. That's not a problem. Do you care for spicy food?
Yes, of course.
That's excellent. The Valinari are known to use a lot of peppers and spices within their food. Something about keeping their meat fresh, I understand. But it makes for an interesting meal, for sure.
Definitely.
And so he looks over the menu real quick and orders a couple of plates of spiced lamb with rice on the side and some mixed vegetables, along with a sweet wine, a crisp sweet wine.
Can I get water as well?
I'm sorry?
Water as well.
Very well. Yes, we will bring you water. I assume chilled.
Yes, please.
All right. So he leaves. He says it'll be several minutes for the chefs to prepare your meal, and if you need anything, to just gesture to him, and he will be right there to help as best as he can. And so Aegon, now that the elf has gone, says, "So, asking about the Mournland, it's not something typically that gets brought up in the course of my workday."
Oh, I'd like to make people's lives interesting.
And so it was. So might I ask why you're so interested?
But I would have prepared an answer for this by now.
Well,
Project.
it's what you can say in the middle of a crowded restaurant and what you could say at a table one-on-one isn't always the same thing.
That is very true. It's for a project that I'm working on with a friend of mine.
Project, huh? What sort of project might that be?
Not quite sure, actually. He just asked me to find out what I could about the more details.
Oh, that's fair enough. I see a number of students who are working on projects that they don't really understand much about, I suppose. I guess that's part of the university experience.
Yes, it is. Don't worry, I'll make him do the same later.
That seems only fair to me.
Sorry.
That's right.
So did you find anything interesting? Or should we wait for the wine first?
I think we can get started. I admit my knowledge of the subject is more rumor-filled, half facts than anything like that. But I have made acquaintances with some people that may be able to assist you in further detail. I wouldn't bet my life on any of the things that I've heard come through the restaurants. Not even my reputation is worth betting on them. But there may be some nuggets of truth within them. However, I would rather send you to people who are more likely to have something more reputable to say about the events in the Mournland. Not all of them are necessarily up on current events. Many of them are studying the phenomena itself. But I imagine if you ask enough questions of them, you might be able to find what you need. But was there anything in particular you were looking for, or were you just looking for general information about the Mournland?
Looking more towards what's been going on recently, if there's been anything special or exciting.
Special or exciting? Well, rumors I can pass along rather readily, but as I mentioned before, I can't speak to their validity in any way, shape, or form. But a lot of rumors come through, but it's difficult to say what even has a hint of truth with them. A lot of people like to speculate about the Mournland. It's the boogeyman in the closet. It's the thing that scared the Five Nations into ending the war, and that makes a lot of people very interested.
This is very true.
I'm glad to say that I've never seen it myself. I served my time. I left the front lines only a few years before the day of mourning. Who can even say if I might have been in that area when it all happened? Something that keeps me up at night.
You had mentioned that. What was it like before?
The Sire border was, at the time I was there, it was bloody. The Sirens were getting desperate. They were being pushed on all sides, and every one of their attacks, every one of their counterattacks was fierce and bloody, and it was a terrifying experience. But I held my ground thanks to my comrades in arms, our officers, the knights, and everybody who fought. They were all heroes, and without their support, I'm sure I would have never come back. But we were at the time content to hold the border where we stood. Troops were needed more elsewhere, to the north with Aundair, even to the south with Dargoon. The Siren border, we were content to leave stable, and in some ways that made for a relatively easy experience. I can't say that everybody came out alive, even in that quieter front, but it could have been far worse. I can only imagine what it would have been like on the day of mourning. I've heard tell, reputable tell, that everything in Sire past the mists hasn't changed at all since the day of mourning. That everybody is frozen, locked in combat. The corpses still sit on the ground, warm and unrotting. It's a hard thing to think about. I have friends who never came back from that, and they might be alive and well somewhere. But I can't help but wonder if they are trapped in that never-ending stasis.
So they just sit there, like they're not alive, they're not dead?
I don't know. I've heard both ways, that time is just frozen, that everything at some point will snap back and time will resume flowing again. I've heard some people speculate that they're somehow in a magical plane of existence that came to be created, and nothing will ever change because it's not truly of our reality. I don't know. As I mentioned, I'm not an expert, and I can only pass along what rumors I've heard, but I've heard some things enough to at least give them the benefit of the doubt, and the idea that everything in the Mournland has not changed since that day 5 years ago. That I've heard often enough to believe.
Wow. What about people or things that still live there? Like, I mean, have you heard anything about anybody still active there?
I've heard there are groups there. I'm not sure about anybody living there. I can't imagine living in a place where nothing changes, nothing grows, nothing lives or dies. But I've heard of groups passing through there, and I've heard of numerous groups heading into there to pillage the dead and loot what they can from the area. But people who live there.
Anybody?
People who live there. No, there's nothing I can pass along with any degree of certainty on that. Perhaps one of the experts might be able to give you more information on that, but I'm afraid that's not something I think I can help you with. If there's anybody living there, it's difficult to ascertain for sure. I mean, very few people go into the Mournland, even fewer return. And what we hear about the Mournland might just be made up. Somebody might travel to Balathron, get cold feet, and come back to Sharn with fabulous lies about their expedition into Sire. And we have no way of knowing that for sure, not without magic in any case. And let's be real, if we decided to doubt the truth of every tale told in a tavern, we'd never stop. So the truth, the lies, the rumors, there's a little concrete way of being able to tell them apart.
What is the most exciting rumor you've heard?
The most exciting rumor.
Don't worry about it being true.
Well, the most far-fetched rumor I've heard, and it's one way out there, is there's a group of Warforged who seem to be I hear that they're trying to build their own god. They're trying to make a Warforged that's a god that can represent the Warforged, and I've heard a lot of crazy things over the years, both here in town, in my youth, and on the battlefield. But that's pretty out there. I've heard it from a couple of people, so maybe it's just a widespread rumor. But that's a weird one.
That is pretty unusual.
I've even heard tell of some of their, I think they're called Seekers, coming into Sharn and searching out people who can help make their god. I guess mostly looking for Warforged, but I think they've talked to some artificers too. For obvious reasons, they haven't really gone near House Cannith, because if House Cannith had their way, all the Warforged would still be their property. But nevertheless, I've heard some rumors that they've talked to people here in town. They might just be deluded. That might not happen at all, but maybe it's true. Who can say? But that's definitely the most outlandish thing I've heard about the Mournlands.
Now, when you say approach people, I mean like kidnapping, or are we talking about offering them?
No.
Jobs?
Well, I've heard a couple of people say that they're here to kidnap people, but I've heard some others say that they're trying to get them to help of their own free will. It's hard to say. I mean, at the same time that these supposed seekers were in town, at least a couple of well-known artificers kind of dropped off the map, but that probably is just coincidence.
Probably.
Ooh, boy. It is pouring rain out here right now. But yeah, that's the weirdest one. I've heard all kinds of things about the area, though. I mean, a lot of them are so far-fetched that I couldn't even begin to guess. I've heard that there's this mountain that's been turned entirely into glass. That there's another place that it's just a lake of lava or something like that. Another lake has been turned. All the water's been turned red and is as warm as blood. I don't know. It's a lot of weird stuff, and some of it may even be true, or there might be a hint of truth in some of it, but a lot of it, Nah, it just sounds like people are making things up to me.
It does sound like that, yeah.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I saw a lot of strange things in the war, so who knows? I mean, I guess 100 years ago, our parents and grandparents might have thought something like the Warforged was outlandish and unbelievable, and yet, I have a few of them coming every week. So who can say? I mean, I've heard a lot of weird rumors about the Mournland, but I'm not sure they're any weirder than the ones I heard about Zendrick from everybody coming through there.
What do you hear about Zendrick?
Zendrick, oh man, the stories I could tell that I hear, they're just as outlandish and they're just as weird. Like these elf tribes that worship scorpions and ride scorpions into battle. That is, I mean, you thought the Valinari were weird. That's pretty odd to me. Deranged giant tribes living in ruins. It's pretty crazy, the stuff that they talk about there too.
Deranged
But
what tribes?
I'm sorry, what?
Deranged what tribes? Did you say troll?
No, deranged giants.
Giants, okay.
Yeah. As a background note that I don't know if you remember, Zendrick used to be entirely populated by giants. They used to have a very advanced civilization on Zendrick, and everything went boom. And there are a lot of theories why, but nobody knows for sure. That's something your character would be familiar with.
Right. Okay, that's not the same place that I visited recently with Caleb then.
No, that was Drome. Zendrick is actually the continent to the southwest of Sharn. You and I'll be relatively familiar with it because almost all of the trade that comes from Sharn, from Zendrick, almost everything that comes from there goes through Sharn. This is where you get your license to officially import things from Zendrick, is here in Sharn. So that's part of why Sharn is as big a deal as it is because it's the gateway to Zendrick in a lot of ways. Some people will avoid it, but this is the closest big city, big port. So a lot of people will go from here to Zendrick and back and forth and so on.
Right.
Oh god, yes, that was... I don't want to think about that. Scorpion Dro is bad enough. So yeah, I've heard of jungles that go for bigger than the entire nation of Zalargo. I've heard of mountains so high that they scrape Sybaris above. I've heard of deserts that are filled with blue sand that coats the inside of your lungs and you choke to death before you even made it a mile. I can't say that those are any more true than the stuff I've heard about Sire in the Mournland. I've never seen it for myself. I don't have any real desire to see it for myself. I came to terms with my own mortality a few years ago when I was still fighting for Buriland, but that's the kind of things I hear. The professors, the students who go with them, their assistants, the adventurers and bodyguards, they all tell such stories that I can't help but wonder if some of it really is true, and it might be, but I don't know. It's like I was saying before, I don't know how much of it's true. I don't know how much of it's an outright lie. I don't know how much of it is just exaggerated, but otherwise true. So.
Oh, it's all very much interesting.
I hear a lot of strange things at work. It makes the job a little more interesting because I mean, let's be fair. Cooking up and serving students and professors at a university, even in a place like Sharn, it's not the most exciting thing in the world. Even if you like cooking, which I do, but the stories I hear from the expeditions to Zendrick to Drome to Kabara and all these exotic locations, they kind of make up for it. I get to live a little vicariously through all the stories, and whether they're true or not, they're entertaining. So
And
it's not a bad life.
as long as you're enjoying it.
Yeah, I can't say that I'm not. Not sure I want to do it for all the rest of my days, but for right now, it's not so bad. So, what about you? What do you do for a living? I'm gathering you're a student, but at the same time, you don't act quite like a student.
I am a lifelong student, which is even worse.
That explains why you don't act quite like a student. You've settled into the university so well that you've kind of outgrown it.
Yes, exactly. Any and every university I can find, I take time to study in. This is my favorite one though, because there's so much to learn.
Moorgrave is it's a nice place. It's interesting. I mean, I know some friends who have gone to the University of Sharn, and they say it's pretty stuffy, very formal, very rigid, and I guess they cram a lot of knowledge into your brain there. But it sounds kind of boring to me, I guess. They don't do the same kind of things that Moorgrave does, and you know. Maybe that gives Moorgrave a little bit of a bad reputation in some academic circles, but you know, I think learning by doing sometimes is better than sitting in a dusty old classroom and listening to lectures from people who went someplace 50 years ago and are still talking about it.
Exactly. Learning by doing is one of my favorite things. So did you ever go to university?
You broke up there for a moment.
I asked if you'd ever gone to university, either one of the universities yourself.
No, I never had the chance. My family wasn't all that wealthy, not even enough to get even to Moorgrave. That's part of why I ended up enlisting is just needed to find a way to support myself, and at the time I was young, I was stupid. I thought that serving my country and fighting for what I believed in was what I should do with my life.
I don't think that's stupid.
Eh, it's maybe wasn't the smartest decision in the end, but I can't go back and change it. Younger me made that decision and made me who I am now, so I just have to live with it. I'm lucky I came out of it. Not all the people I knew did. So I guess that's why I consider it a little stupid. Is saw some good people end up dead on the battlefield for something that even now I don't completely understand. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand the reasons that the history books will tell you, but as somebody who was out there fighting, it's a lot more difficult to comprehend. But nope, I never had any formal education after I got out of primary school. Just what I picked up out on the battlefield and here at the university district, and that served me pretty good.
Sounds like a lot of life learning.
Yeah, And that's okay with me. Like I said, I'm not sure I would have been one for sitting in a classroom and listening to lectures and writing all that stuff down on parchment. It's hard enough doing my bookkeeping for the restaurant. I can't imagine doing even more than that. So, not entirely.
So you mentioned that you had a list of friends that might have some more hands-on information.
Yeah, I do. I've got, well, I can't really necessarily call them friends, but, I know them pretty well. Um, well enough to have a drinks with them a couple of times after we're all done. Um, I wrote them down for you. Hopefully this will get you moving along to whatever else it is you're doing with this project. Um, bit of a warning though. Professors at Moorgrave are a little more. Let's just say that sometimes they need a little more incentive to talk about the sort of thing that you're looking at. It might be a bit of coin, might be, a bottle of wine, but yeah, be prepared that you might have to, do a little bit of something for them. Not like that, not like that. Though I'm sure a couple of them wouldn't have minded, but yeah, they might not come free.
Thank you for the warning.
Yeah, one of them. He's a bit of a lech. He's he's not the nicest of guys around women. So he has definite ideas of what women should be and shouldn't be, and that pretty much boils down to under him in the professional and the literal sense.
Well then, should you point that one out to me so I can make sure my friend deals with him?
Yeah, his name is Korif, or Professor Drazen, as he's more inclined to insist. Yeah, he works in the acquisitions department. I don't know what his actual job title is, but he's done a bit of arranging to gather artifacts and other historical pieces from the Mournlands, from what I understand. So he might have more up-to-date information than anybody else, but he gets along with me okay, but I've seen how he treats other people. So.
Well, if I do talk to him, or if we do talk to him, we will handle him with care.
Just if you've got to, just punch his stupid ass out. It wouldn't be the first time.
I can definitely do that.
You'll recognize him immediately by his broken nose, and he's got the cauliflower ear going too. So that tells you that you wouldn't be the first to pop him a good one. And given that you're a little more, shall we say, petite than the usual, I think you can hit him a little more where it hurts.
And I can hit him hard.
Well, I know a number of students and other faculty around campus who would be more than happy to buy you a beer if they heard you were to do something like that.
I might have to go along for this interview after all.
Well, I don't know, but yeah, here's the other four. Thankfully, they're all considerably less problematic to deal with than he is. First up is Juliana. She actually came over here from the University of Sharn because they weren't really letting her do the kinds of things that she wanted to do in terms of getting out there and investigating these things hands-on. But she's a nice gal. She seems the kind of person you'll get along with pretty well. Eric's, or Professor Nelview. He's kind of stuffy, older man, but he knows what he's talking about. He may be better for like the historical side of things than I think kind of what you're looking at. And then there's Professor Hintram, who he's weird, but I guess eccentric might be the better way to term it. But he knows a surprising amount about a lot of things that you wouldn't expect him to know. If he weren't a professor, he would be locked up somewhere for his own safety. But between the four of them, I think you might be able to find out whatever it is you're looking for, or at least get pointed in the direction you need to go.
Well, thank you.
So, now that business of a sort is out of the way, I think our dinner is about to be arriving. And we can get to the pleasure part of the evening.
I like it. Let's do it.
Every time you do that, I'm going to penalize you, you know.
Who, me or him?
Him.
Totally worth it.
Sometimes it is, but don't get us in your collateral damage.
I'll start doing the collateral damage so you have more incentive to stop him.
You can't just stop him.
You think it's going to stop me is the funny part.
No, I understand where this is going.
All right, and we will fade to black there.
Fade to black.
Shit. Only have about 15 minutes. I'm not sure how much we can get done in that time.
Put the dick down.
What?
All right, let's go at it like this. We're gonna do a montage. We're gonna have a week pass.
Will this work? And you guys get a montage.
Mother.
No, everybody's gonna get a montage. This is gonna be you guys are doing stuff for a week.
Oh, for a week.
Yes. And we're not going to go into it in depth tonight because we just don't have enough time to do maybe more than one of you, maybe two of you. But what I want you to do is think about what your character is going to do for about a week to facilitate this investigation. What your character would want to do, what your character is going to spend the time doing. If there's anybody or anything in particular you want to do, I imagine stuff like Juan D's research, the Cord helping out with the artifact will be part of what you guys are doing. But if there's anything else you need to do, go ahead and think on it. And when we start next, we will go into that. And we'll get you guys to we'll get more information to you guys without having to go into every scene day by day and have this get solved in an unrealistically short amount of time, because that's been something that's kind of in the back of my head. Is you guys have been on this for roughly 2 days, and it doesn't feel realistic to have you guys go, okay, we're here, we've solved everything in 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that how all crime procedurals work?
Only on TV. And
Yeah.
that drives me nuts.
Enhance. All right, we got it.
Yeah.
Enhanced.
This is not CSI. We are not doing that. And it's not even CSI Sharn or NCIS Sharn or anything else Sharn.
I think we should make it 24 Sharn and never go
Not Law and Order Sharn.
to the bathroom.
We're running out of time!
It could be James Bond Sharn, I suppose.
Nope. 24 Sharn and we never go to the bathroom.
So far, you guys really haven't gone to the bathroom anyway. So
I'm a vampire. I don't really have.
I get my oil changed every 3 months.
We don't want to talk about the way vampires expel waste from their systems, because then I would have to think about it, and I don't want to do that.
I assume I just exude it through my pores.
I've got 2 words for you: black and
That's kind
tar.
of worse. I don't want to think about it.
Nope.
Stop it.
We do
Stop
not.
it.
What did one lesbian vampire say to the other?
No.
All right,
No.
all right.
And no.
And I'm out.
And there we go. Okay. Now that I've solved that problem, at least
Forcefully muted.
in the short amount of time. So yeah, think about your montage. We'll start that with things off with that, and hopefully that will spring things along, and get some of the initial research and investigation, not necessarily out of the way, because that's half of the fun, at least with this campaign so far. But get some of the more tedious aspects of it out of the way, like waiting for the lanterns to get you a list of everybody who was in the tower or who is registered to have been in the tower, because that's not going to be done by tomorrow. That's going to take days of research, and the other things that are going on that'll take a little while to do. I just don't want to have it done in an unrealistic amount of time, but I also don't want you to have to make up shit to do every single day while you're waiting. So we'll montage for we'll go for 10 days. 10 days. That should be more than enough for most of you guys to do just about anything that you need to do.
I'm already thinking of stuff.
Yeah. If you need to, if you think you might forget stuff, go ahead and email it to me. Write it on the wiki. Do whatever you need to do. But I think we're pretty much done otherwise for tonight. We're not going to do a makeup game next week because I'm still neck deep in everything that I'm working on this week, and I need a little bit of time to reset my brain. So we will go again in 2 weeks, which will be the 15th.
Cool.
And someone please remind me next week, send me an email or a tweet or something like that. Remind me to finish the armory stuff, which I started doing and then got really fucking busy with. And I'll have that done by next time. Let's see. Anything else? I mentioned it to most of you earlier, but this Friday will be Roll20Con, and I'm running a game at 10 a.m. Pacific for a couple of hours, and I hope some people will drop in and watch that. Failing that, there should be videos on demand later that you can watch, and that's pretty much it, I think. Do you guys have any questions, comments, concerns?
Not right now. I'll be sending you an email, and if I'm totally off base on what I'm planning on, well, then you can just tell me on that way and let me down easy.
Okay.
Let me down easy.
The answer is no. Try again.
It's never no. It's how can I work this to become a definite yes.
Okay, yeah. How can I manipulate the GM into saying
Yes.
Is what you mean, really.
I find GM bribes work.
That's true, they do.
Oh yeah, hey, would you like a retweet from a verified Twitter? Hmm?
Didn't you just
Oh.
retweet something I wrote, about 2 hours ago?
Well, yeah, that was for this stream because I'm on it.
I do take bribes. Actually, that does remind me that. Let's see.
Not yet.
Oh.
Sitting here.
Okay.
There is supposed to be a GM bribe incoming. If I ever get off my fat lazy ass and actually send it.
Fair enough. I don't remember if I told you that I updated the part of the wiki for GM point bounties, what you guys can do to get extra GM points. Bribes are on there, honestly, but that's not all I need. So just let me know if you're doing any of that or if you have any questions about any of it. I'll link it in chat real quick, just in case. And I think that's about it, unless you guys have anything else.
Oh, because I know it is way the fuck far out there possibility-wise.
Uh-huh.
There is a indie character generation. Actually, wait. I'll do this when we're not live, because this doesn't need to be discussed when we're live.
Okay, then I will go ahead and stop the broadcast. Everybody say goodbye to our viewers.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.